President Trump's decision to initially wage war on Iran took many by surprise. Then his rushed efforts to unwind the war he started have come with all kinds of U.S. setbacks. When this tentative deal was first announced, plenty of serious people went to study the details first. It's not an overnight black and white thing. It can be complicated. And then we saw the U.S. and Iran clashing over what the deal really meant, what was coming next. But now that we've had some time, and the details have come out and sunk in, there are some takeaways. Broadly speaking, it's no secret that Iran has gotten many of the key things it wanted. And it's, of course, kept its regime intact. And that Trump's team has offered money and more time and even oil leverage to Iran going forward. So we have experts and insiders, foreign policy vets, and really leaders in both political parties coming together to reach that rare thing in America these days, a shared consensus. And I'll tell you what it is. It's that Donald Trump lost the war. The Conservative National Review's headline, the U.S. loses its war against Iran. The Conservative Washington Examiner, feeble Iran deal, a fitting end to a foolish war, criticism of basically ever launching it. Longtime GOP strategist Karl Rove says that Trump's deal is a political and foreign policy disaster, that it's weaker than Obama's deal, which is salt in the wound. He certainly knows that. Now, you could say that's also the political wins. But take the highly respected New York Times editorial board, which crunches foreign policy and goes through the evidence. They came up with a headline that matches the conservative one I showed you. President Trump lost this war, noting the failure to achieve the goals that were offered, which included unconditional surrender, which could be bluster, but also regime change, which is a thing that countries sometimes tried to do and which they said they were going to do and which they failed to do. They lost any bid at regime change, if anything, hardening a younger version of this regime. They didn't destroy the military either, although you could say they degraded aspects of it. Now, many diplomats and national security experts often discuss these matters with more, well, diplomacy, right? It's kind of their job. And so they may not shriek the headlines that we're seeing here. They talk about it in different terms, that the U.S. has a strategic disadvantage in this deal, or that it benefits Iran more in the future than it obviously benefits the U.S., and that Iran now has continued to show a geostrategic ability to flex power over the Strait of Hormuz, something that Trump's actions allowed them to do, which before they weren't doing. There's a discussion of mismatches in the obligations and a geopolitical slump for the U.S. that is so obvious, many people say, I bet you've heard this one, the United States was better off before the war started, meaning it didn't achieve much, or, as the political voices said, that Trump's war is a loss. And then there's the simpler bottom line you will hear on certain conservative airwaves.
Despite all the denials, the MOU is a massive cash cow to the Iranian regime. It's a complete capitulation to the Iranian regime.
They're better off than they were before the hostilities began.
I hate to say this. In this deal, the biggest loser is the United States and India.
America has given up all of its leverage in this situation. This doesn't feel like a victory.
Trump lost the war. He started the war, he lost the war, and according to many critics of the deal, including on the right, he lost the peace. That is to say that while very few people want to continue a military operation there, which is why sometimes it can be funny to criticize, because if you hear someone saying the peace deal is bad enough, you start to wonder, well, does that mean we should stay in the conflict? No. For many of these experts, I just showed you them, across the spectrum, the answer is no, we shouldn't have started, no, we shouldn't continue, and also, he lost the war and struck a bad deal. All three things being, according to many, the problem with Trump's failure as commander-in-chief. And then there's what we all watched, the contradictions as Trump had to grapple with the failure to achieve the goals.
The purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability?
I'm saying that if other countries have them, it's a little bit unfair for them not to have some.
It's the fact of the matter. I mean, the Iranian system is led by clerics, radical clerics.
I think they're very smart. I think they're far less radicalized. I think they're really good. They love their country.
The broader trend line is also clear. Iran eyeing a $40 billion windfall from reopening the Strait of Hormuz, which they closed only in response to Trump starting the war. Taxpayers on the hook, $87 billion. 24% of Americans now think this was worth it, a number that tends to go down over time. It is too easy these days to have a snap opinion. You see a headline on your phone about the end of the war, and people say he lost, and that's about worth the amount of time it took to say it if someone rushed to give you an opinion in 20 seconds. So while this isn't breaking news tonight, we have actually sifted, as I just showed you, over time, the details and a range of views to land on the point that seems pretty important. Donald Trump led the U.S. to losing this war.